Okay, here we go. Are you ready for the petty? Get in, losers.
This is Petty and Unbothered, where we love growth, but we also love a minor grudge.
Where we're celebrating your petty parts and breaking down petty pop culture.
I'm Robin, a multi-hyphenate creative.
And I'm Lora, aka Tita Lors, a licensed marriage and family therapist. Come sit with us. Yay!
Yay! Hey.
Okay, here we are.
Feeling
We're
good.
here. Doing that just reminded me that I am going to see Millennium this summer.
What's a millennium?
Wait, oh my God. So he's like a DJ, producer, artist thing, like EDM music. And I'm super stoked. I'm not big on EDM, but I really like Millennium's music. So I'm super stoked. It's going to be at the Sphere. And it's this all around, like you could see it. And I'm like, I can't wait. It's going to be beautiful.
Oh, that sounds incredible. I mean, EDM at the Sphere would be like really fun, I bet.
I know. I'm so excited. And I'm escaping my kids because I'm going to leave them. So Ryan's actually going with us finally on the vacation. So I get to leave the kids with him and my family. And I'm going to hop over to Vegas real fast for like maybe 48 hours.
Whoa.
And then come back down because it's like I'm trying to come down so we can have 4th of July with my family.
Oh, nice.
Because it's on the 3rd. So I'm like,
oh, wow.
Bloop, bloop. Yeah.
Are you going to fly probably?
I don't know.
Oh.
It depends if I can get a car. My friend is going to, so my friend out here, she was like, oh, what are your summer plans? And I told her, I'm like, we should go to Disneyland because they're having promotions right now. Cool. It's for kids. Yeah. So I was like, okay, the tickets are cheaper. Let's go. I think we should probably buy our tickets soon though. So we're going to do that. My mom has a timeshare in Anaheim. We're going to stay at the timeshare. And then she's like, well, Millennium's going to be in Vegas. Do you want to go to Vegas? And I was like, do I? Yes, of course I do. So somehow she's gonna fly to Vegas. I'm gonna exist in Vegas at some point somehow, either flying or driving. And then we have to come back together. So it might be a good idea to drive. It's only like a 4-hour drive.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Yeah, it wouldn't be that bad. So we'll see.
Depending on how fast you drive, I suppose. Also.
Yeah.
I used to pride myself in getting from like Santa Barbara to there in like 6 hours flat or something like that, which was kind of insane.
Yeah. I'd be like,
check this out.
No, I'm just kidding. Do the same thing. I did the same thing. I would be like, it's supposed to take like 4-ish hours to get there. Unless you're me, then you do it in 3 to 3.5 hours.
Oh my God.
You just got to know where the police stretch is.
Yeah, for sure.
Where they usually hide.
Yeah, just don't get too cocky or too crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah, but the flight, some can be really cheap, is all I was going to say. Sometimes if you find a good one, you might get like $30 flight.
Yeah.
Something like that. But if you got a buddy, you can make it a road trip.
And that's what I'm thinking. I think it'll be a good opportunity for us to like get closer. I don't know that we've ever spent just like 4 hours, just us alone together. She's a newer friend that I made when I moved out here. And we're close. Don't think we've spent like that much time together. So road trips are revealing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you really get to know a person if you can handle them in the future.
Yeah, right? It says a lot. I've definitely gone on road trips with some people where I've been like, ooh.
Samesies.
Love you, but we're going separate next time.
Yeah. Yep. Been there, done that.
Yeah. Okay.
Anywho.
Any hoosers, happy Philippine Independence Day on the
Woo!
12th. Woo!
Yeah, let's do it.
Yay! I was gonna sing the national anthem, but I actually don't feel good. And
Aw.
I don't
Extra
know that I
credit, I
remember
would
it.
have learned it for you, but I didn't
Oh
know.
man. Hold on. Let me actually look at the lyrics. I think I still know. It's like Bayang Magiliw, Lupang ng Silanganan. Oh my god. I had to.
Uh, maybe next ep,
Oh, here it
we
is.
could
Here it
do a
is.
duet.
Yeah, maybe next ep. I know. We'll just we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I'll just add it. I'll add a video or a clip of like, yeah. Oh, there it is. Bayang Magiliw, Burlesque Silanganan. Aw, I had to learn that, or I
Yeah.
got the chance to learn it and sing it in college, and it was really fun.
Nice.
Yeah. Speaking of culture, I don't think I've ever asked you, or if I have, I'm a horrible friend and I've forgotten.
No.
What's your cultural background?
I it's really a mishmash of things, to be honest.
Uh-huh.
Um, my family is kind of like Scottish, British, a little German, um, just European in general, I think.
Mhm.
My mom always talks about her grandma having like a Scottish accent, and so
Cool.
but yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, with my parents, they get really into, like, different cultures, and some of our family friends actually well, my godfather and his family are Jewish, and so we uh, have seders and Passover dinners sometimes,
Uh-huh.
and I've been to, like, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, that sort of thing too,
Wow. Yeah.
um, but my overall, like, my parents are just kind of like they kind of adapt to a lot of different cultures, I guess you could say.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. Um, that you got to have such a broad cultural experience. It wasn't just because some people are like, "Oh, well, I'm white. End of story."
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm like, "Boring." Um, but that you actually have an understanding of your history and your background, and then beyond that too, that your parents allowed you to experience other cultures and to
Yeah.
fold that into your childhood.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
cool.
absolutely. Part of my, education was, my parents would they told all of us to pick a country and get, like, really into it, and mine was India, so
Mhm.
I, like, got really
Oh,
into
cool.
learning about that and cooking Indian
Uh-huh.
food, et cetera, which was
Uh-huh.
kinda neat, and then my dad, would put Italian flashcards around the house on everything
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and hope that we would just absorb Italian.
Through osmosis of the eyes.
I don't know how much that worked, but anyways.
Especially if you can't read yet, that's
Yeah,
hilarious.
I know, but, like, the door had the it's wild. Anyway.
Yeah, that's so funny. My big, I realized that she had somehow learned Spanish on her own, and I was like, "What are you watching that you're learning Spanish?" Because she asked for agua one time, and I was like, "What?" Um, and then I was like, "Oh, that's right, you watch Dora the Explorer, and you watch Diego, and there's PBS Kids has so many shows that are, um, where they speak a combination of Spanish and English." And I'm like, "This is so cool." It's not through osmosis, but just um, through what is it? Not presentation, um, representation, I
Uh,
guess, yeah.
oh, yeah, yeah, that's a yeah, mhm.
Yeah, because it's just there and it's normalized and it's like any English word for you
You're
to
right.
learn. It's a different way to say water. And so I was like, "Okay, well,
I dig that.
repetition then too, right?"
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So PBS Kids also has a Filipino show.
Ooh.
Um, yeah, oh my god, I don't remember what it's called. Belly? No. Is it belly? No. Something bean and pogo. Something in pogo.
Okay.
Anyways, it's so cute. There's a Lola. I remember when I first saw it, I was like, um, on the brink of tears because I think I had just lost my Lola, or she was
Oh,
like, we knew she was passing and that she wasn't, there's just a lot of stuff around that grief. And to see that, to see the relationship, and it was so beautiful. And it's such a great reminder of my experience with my Lola, and how loving, at least my experience, it was a duality of experiences with her now that I think about it, but there were loving parts to my relationship with her. And it was just so great. And I love that that exists now for my kids, that
yeah.
we don't have to specifically buy like the Filipino channel or whatever. Like it's just on regular smegular programming that they can watch it right there.
Yeah, that's great. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I
Or like,
yeah.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say my nieces, watch a lot of that too, and it's just nice that they know that there's other cultures out there, and, they
Yeah.
actually do say agua and a few other,
Mhm.
words, and then their parents repeat it back to them, so it's like a repetition.
Oh,
Like,
so
when they
good.
ask for
Yeah.
olives, they say the Spanish word, or grapes, or just I was really surprised
Uh-huh.
last time I saw 'em.
That's so cool. I love that your siblings are doing that, because that
Mhm.
just kind of cements it for them too.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, they're PBS kids also. So,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Me too.
Yeah, me too. I just didn't have the app or whatever.
I know, seriously. We had to wait through the commercials and like specifically go to the correct channel and then sit and watch, whereas they could
Right.
just literally watch whatever they want to.
On demand, yeah.
I know, and they could pick and choose what they get to watch. They're so lucky.
I know. Jelly.
I know. Jelly Bean and Pogo. Jelly Ben and Pogo. Nice! We did it!
We
That's the name of
did
the
it.
show.
Yeah, that's our new show. Welcome to We Did It!
Yeah, seriously. With our powers and brain cells combined, we'll get
Yeah.
there.
Wow.
Oh,
That'll be a long
man.
show sometimes.
Seriously. Waiting for our brain cells to catch up with each other.
Mhm.
Oh, man. Okay. So, I obviously identify as Filipino American.
Yes.
Um, a question that I wanted to ask you, as someone who is like white presenting and identifies with white culture, I know for me, and like there's that immigrant culture thing that's very obvious of not feeling enoughness, like I'm not American enough, I'm not Filipino enough. Like, how did you come to an understanding, if it ever was a thing for you, of like your identity and culture and background?
Oh, well. Yeah, I guess I'm fortunate to not have, like, that specific of an experience. I
Mhm.
think maybe sometimes I think just because of just being a white person, white presenting, I didn't kind of know, like, what my background was all the time. Like,
Mm.
it just kind of felt like, I guess I'm just this, but I don't have anything
Yeah.
interesting to say
Oh.
sometimes.
Mhm.
But I'd say I hardly to be honest, I don't think it really, like, went through my mind,
Mhm.
especially growing up. I just was like, "That's who I am,
What yeah.
and that's it, period." And also I think luckily I was aware of a lot of other cultures, so I
Mhm.
respected that, element as well, but yeah, definitely not the same.
Yeah. So side story before I get into it. In elementary school, I had convinced people that I was half Filipino and half American, and that's what it meant to be Filipino American. Because I was born Filipino, but I was raised American. And so in my elementary school brain, that meant that it wasn't through genetics that was passed down. It just was. And I said it so factually that I convinced these kids that I was half Filipino and half American. And somebody was like, that doesn't make sense. Like, how does that make sense? And I was like, it just does. They're like, okay. And I went my entire elementary school career
Yeah.
believing that that's what that was.
Huh. Oh, I
I
just
we are.
had like a weird memory unlock when you're saying something is factual. And that's kind of
Yeah.
like weird, but for some reason I remember this pretty clearly. It was like in elementary school. I said something that was kind of factual like that, where this is really weird. I just remember saying that my like great 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 grandfather was a Caesar in Rome. And everybody like believed me, and then they're like, well, what was his name? And then it was just like
Name Schmaine.
so
Who
yeah, I was
cares?
like,
It's
who
just
cares?
true.
Yeah, I was like, well, it's Caesar, and then I just used my last name or something funny. And like I remember like some of my friends like thought that was just like hilarious because we're like kids. But it was one of
Yeah.
those things where I just said it like, oh yeah, my far off relative was a Caesar in Rome. I'm like, why did I make that
Yeah.
up? But anyway, that's the only like
Because we're
cultural made up thing I
kids.
can think of. Yeah,
That's
so
so funny. I
weird.
have a similar story, but we're going to save it for later.
No, it just like came up. I was like, oh yeah, that was like, I thought that was so funny when I was a kid.
Okay. Anyways, so through, um, obviously I knew that the Philippines was colonized by the Spanish, but I knew it from like a Filipino American lens, and I didn't know stuff. I didn't take the time to actually do the research or to learn more in depth about that cultural aspect of it.
Yeah.
Um, and also I've always like, uh, just because school, right? You learn about Roman and Greek mythology through like other stuff. I learned about Norse mythology, a little bit about Gaelic
Mhm.
mythology. And I know about like the spooky monsters and stuff in the Philippines, but I didn't know about like the creation stories and the
Oh,
mythology behind that. But I knew how the Greeks believed people were born, right? Like I knew
yeah.
all of that, and I was like, "Huh, man, I should know these things about my own culture." Um, that part's gonna be saved for another episode. They're really actually pretty cool. I've learned some cool things about creation stories because it's not just one story. Right? Like the Philippine Islands is in um archipelago of of islands and stuff, and lots of different cultures and different belief systems that was influenced before they were united into like the Philippine Islands. They were influenced by a lot of different surrounding cultures. So there's a lot of tie-ins and stuff. So that was an interesting thing to learn. But for today, what I wanted to focus into, because it is the week of Philippine Independence Day, I wanted to talk about like colonialism and how some of the ways that it changed our culture. And because it's also Pride Month, I added just a little bit, tiny bit of that into here.
Cool.
Um, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I have like an uplifting story as well for you. So that's what we're getting into.
Wow. Awesome. Let's go. A lot of stuff on tap.
Yeah. Okay. So I found this article by Jose Pascual. It's called Hidden Voices, Reexamining the Conquest of the Philippines. I got a lot of my information from this first part, from that article, amongst a lot of other things too. They're all compiled in a file, I swear. I'm paraphrasing this is obviously not my knowledge, it's knowledge that I've learned from other people.
Okay.
So, we're going to start in pre-colonial Philippines before they were colonized. Because there were so many like separate islands, there was no centralized power. There wasn't like the unit of the islands. It was just the archipelago. Um, right? And there were several different societies and hierarchies and chiefdoms there. So some people might argue that the Philippines was colonized several times prior to the Spanish colonization, but actually the Philippines was not a united group of islands or people until they were colonized by the Spaniards. It was, again, right, like various different chiefdoms and stuff and interactions and through trade and travel from other communities and other cultures like China and Japan and Pacific Islanders and things like that. Um, do. So the pre-Hispanic Visayas and Tagalogs, they had
Mm.
societies that were divided into three different groups: Datu, Timawa, and Alipin. Or if you're Bisayan, it was Oripin. So the Datu were the leaders of their societies, and then the Timawa or Timawa, I should have looked up how to say that one. They were in charge of, I think they're like the resources. That one I didn't look too much into. Okay, let me try again. So Datu, Timawa, and Alipin or Oripin.
Mhm.
The Datu were the leaders. Timawa, they were in charge of something separate, but it was, to be helpful. And then the Alipin or the Oripin, they were like kind of like indentured servants, but not exactly slavery. So it was like you were indebted to this place either through birth or through through war, basically, right? And if
Mhm.
you could prove yourself in battle or whatever, then you could work your way up in ranks at some point. So it was different from basic Western slavery in that way. So, something in Pascal's paper explored how the Philippine culture was impacted by Spanish colonization. A few of the major ways is how we value women and transgendered men in the community. So, in pre colonial Philippines, women and transgendered men were a lot more valued and they held prestigious religious roles within their communities.
Hmm.
For Tagalogs, there were transgendered men called bayog who were an important aspect of religious factions or functions within the community. And in the article, it like talks about like their mannerisms and their dress and a lot of judgment
Hmm.
from like the Catholic Spaniards. But
Sounds about
also
right.
I know, right? But also, like, you could see an understanding and sort of, I guess, a little bit of respect for the the roles that they had in the communities. They're like, I don't know why they would give these people that roles, but this is, where it is.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then so that's the Tagalogs, and then for the Visayan spiritual practices were called Maganito, and they were performed by bailanes and by baisanas. Again, I should have looked up how to say that.
You're doing
Bailanes
great.
and baisanas. Thank you.
Yeah.
So they're the men and women who were considered witches and enchantress by the Spaniards. So
Hmm.
they were like the spiritual leaders and healers of their communities. But again, in the passages of it's called the Codex, they were described as like praying to their devil and, and trying to get healing through those practices because of course if it ain't Catholic it ain't right. So I think my little side note that I wrote here is that one, when I was little, I had, or even as an adult somewhat, I had this understanding or this belief that our Filipino culture was very matriarchal because of the strong presence of like my Lola in my family and Lolas in other families and mothers in other families. So I always felt I had this feeling of a matriarchal society where women held power and where women's voices were important. I found out that they've always been a patriarchal society. However, women were actually important within the communities, traditionally, if we go back to pre-colonial Philippines. So that was an interesting thing to learn. Something also that was, it's kind of annoying now because I had to grow up and hear the way my uncles talked so degradingly about transgendered men and tomboys and like the gays or whatever, or the bakla. They're, if you're gay, you're bakla. If you're a girl, you're a tomboy. But like the way that they would talk about them, how they're like disgusting, oh, I can't believe this or that or whatever. But then to know that traditionally, actually, these are the people who held high positions of power. People actually went to for a spiritual healing who guided their spiritual practices. So it's wild that this other culture just comes in and steals that and takes that away and makes it so, so disgusting for you to have your traditions. And like now it's so ingrained in the culture to believe those things. 380 years of colonization by like 4 or 5 different communities or whatever. And it was just all in the name of religious and political expansion, I guess. So we'll get into that part later. But yeah,
Okay.
thoughts, feelings so far.
Wow. I mean, there's already a lot of things I didn't know. And it is really unfortunate, or for lack of a better word, that the colonizers would even change like the dynamic of a culture that seemed to
Hmm.
be just fine.
Yeah, well, they were considered like, what's the word? What's the term? They used it for indigenous tribes here in America too, where they were like,
Oh, big time, big time. Uh, I know, like, the Chumash, like Native Americans, were colonized by the Spaniards and did
yeah,
some horrible, horrible things. But that's a
mm-hmm,
story for a
yeah,
different day.
yeah. But the way that they viewed them as just like animalistic and like primal, or like, well, there's like a specific word that I can't think of right now. I bet you with our two brain cells combined, we'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
But like they thought so lowly of the indigenous people, and their ways of being, because it was a lot of like wartime tribal stuff. And then the Spanish came in.
Yeah.
So whatever.
And then also, like, I didn't know that much about the archipelago of it all, like all the different places. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. So there's like over 7,600 different islands.
That's wild.
And I know, yeah, and they're split into like 3 different regions. So it's, I think, like Luzon. Oh my gosh. What are the? I looked it up too, but it was at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I should also just know this by heart. I see it in my brain, but I can't like. 3 parts of Philippines. Yeah, I was gonna be right. I should have just trusted myself. So Luzon, Visayas, and Visayas and Mindanao.
Hmm.
Yeah, so they're like separated into these 3 specific cultural representations: North, Central, and South. But yeah, with when I was researching the origin, the like creation story, because each of the different parts are influenced by different types of culture, like Muslim culture is pervasive in a lot of like the creation stories.
Hmm.
And Buddhism also is present in creation stories. So it's very interesting to hear these like pre-colonial ideas about creationism and how like humans came to be and how the earth was made. I'll have to do like specific ones for each region because it's influenced by so many different things and it's really interesting. I think I got just really overwhelmed.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's hard to narrow it down when there's that much info.
Yeah, I was like, choose something. You can't do it all.
Yeah, yeah. More
Yeah,
more material for another day.
exactly. Yeah. So, oh, wow, that was a weird sound. All right. So, colonizing the Philippines. The Philippines was colonized, I think, from manipulation, but because, have you ever heard the saying that history is written by the winners?
Mm-mm. No, I haven't heard that one. I mean,
Yeah.
it sounds I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
So
I've heard it a few times, but I think in this case it's so very true. Like history is written by the winners because there's not a lot of pre-colonial information about what Philippine culture was like, what the what the different tribal cultures were like. It was either erased or it wasn't kept, or a lot of the understanding is through the codex and the descriptions of what Hispanics saw when they arrived. And so in how they write it, they talk about how like, oh, these people were willing. They willingly helped us to subjugate everyone else around.
Mm.
They wanted to be a part of this process of like uniting the Philippine Islands and blah 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 blah. Pascal kind of argues that it's actually very likely that through manipulation and threats and false like pretenses or false promises, they were able to get the essentially coercion to coerce the local tribes into like raiding other villages and uniting, right? So
Mhm.
I I was like, oh, gosh, that saying is never more true than it is here. They used, like earlier, I talked about the Alipin and the Oripin. So, because those people obviously don't want to continue to be subjugated or indebted to anyone, they would enlist and then they would join the army of the Spaniards. And then, like, there was the Pangpangans, which is like a specific tribe there, or barrio. I'm not sure which one. I probably should have been paying more attention at 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. They, that they used a lot of like their already ingrained rivalries with other local tribes and barangays and the culture of like of resource building because in the Philippines there was a lot of resources to be taken to be harvested, I guess. But what was lacking in a lot of the tribes is the human resources to do the labor. And that's why there was a lot of like servitude and indebtedness because you needed laborers to do the things so that you could have the resources for your barangay,
Hmm.
or like your society if you're the datu and you're leading your barangay. So the Spaniards kind of used that and took the slaves, if you will, and put them into their armies with, probably false promises of what they would get or avoid. And then they used like these war practices, probably didn't tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, and made like false promises to those datu. And that's how they were able to go and like raid. They're already like, these people are already their rivals. They're already going to want to like conquer them. And now I have the Spaniards to help me conquer them. Woo woo, right? But like, that didn't end up being what it was. And then it went from there and it just kept spreading. And so that's how the Spaniards united and
Huh.
colonized the islands. I mean, it's like an oversimplified way, right?
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. So ultimately, they ended up removing or attempting, I guess, to remove the Datu from their places of power and replace them with, I cannot say this, but we're going to try anyways, alcads and gobernadorcillos. Basically, politicians, people who are voted into place, into positions of power, rather than like, this is your birthright. But despite this, the Datu still remained in their positions of power as upper class people. And they just would take turns every election year of who was going to be the ruler of that year, I guess.
Hmm.
And then they repositioned the distribution of resources so that it would primarily, instead of it going to the datu, and the datu would be the ones who allocated the resources to their barangay, they would manage then the laborers, and then the resources would be given to the Spaniards. So
Oh,
now
I see. Yeah.
yeah. So what do you fucking do? So now, a moment of lightness here. Have you ever noticed that many Filipinos have Hispanic last names?
You know what? I have. And some first names as well.
Yes. Okay, I'll tell you the annoying thing and then I'll tell you my funny story.
Tell me.
Traditionally, Filipinos didn't have last names. And that then made it very difficult for the Spaniards to have a census and to collect data. So they made a list of approved Spanish last names,
No
or
way.
Filipino last names that were Spanishified, Spanglified. And these were the approved last names that you had to choose for your family. Everyone had to have one. Unless you could prove that you had a family name that has been passed down through, I think, like 2 generations. It was the only way that you were allowed to keep your last name.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, right? Crazy. So not only are they like taking resources from people, they're also taking their cultural identity and imposing upon them an identity, a Spanish identity.
Huh.
Which,
Wow.
what the
I
fuck?
didn't know. I mean, I just always wondered what that. I mean, I'm figuring it out, but wow.
Yeah. So when I was younger, I was fully
Okay.
convinced I was a Filipino princess of some like barangay somewhere or whatever, because my last name means of the kings.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, and my parents before my dad died, they were going to change my name to Princess. So
Oh,
it would have been
okay.
Princess Lora instead of just Laura. But then he passed away and my mom never got around to doing it. But on my baptism certificate, it says Princess Lora. And I know. So I was fully convinced that I was a princess and that the only reason why I hadn't yet been swept away and taken to my castle is because my dad died and they didn't know where to find me.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah. I had a very active imagination.
It's funny how you like developed a whole reason why.
Uh-huh. Why? Like, we're suffering. I'm suffering in quotes because my family, my royal family, has no idea where I am.
Oh,
So I
dang.
hold a
That's
little bit of
crazy.
that still.
Yeah, I could totally see why.
Yeah. I had heard from someone that if you had Delos, so of the,
Yeah.
instead of just like the last name, so like Reyes, then that meant that you had family that was more upper class,
Oh.
right? So if you had like Delos Reyes, then that was upper class, and then Reyes was just whatever. I tried looking that up to see if that's true. I don't see any proof of that being true, but I had heard it when I was younger, and it made me even more uppity.
Oh my god, just adding to your
Yeah.
imaginative brain.
Exactly, like doubling down on the fact that I am a princess or I have like rank or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I do know a
Yeah.
princess, so that's funny.
That's cool. I
Yeah.
like an actual princess or someone named
Oh,
princess?
someone named princess. No, I'm sorry, I don't know an actual princess.
I went to school with a princess.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, she was like, I think I forget specifically of where, but it was like a Southeast Asian tribe, and she was the princess there. And she was part of like one of my clubs that I was in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I didn't
That's
like we didn't
interesting.
know each other like personally and didn't always talk to each other, but you know, I at least I knew of her. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Nice.
Anyways, yeah, so that story, and I doubled down again on being a princess.
Oh, so cute.
Man,
I mean, you still are. Well, now you're a queen.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what, because my big wants to be the princess, so I have to be the queen. But if you ask
Yeah.
my right? No, if you ask my
Oh.
little, she's the queen, and I'm the princess. Oh,
Wow, that's so
man.
cute. You got knocked down a few
Right?
pegs.
She is. I do. She knocks me down several pegs every day.
Uh,
I'm like, "When you become a teenager, we're gonna have it it's gonna be rough, babe."
We're gonna figure something else out.
I know, because we can't have 3 of my attitudes in this house.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, Lord.
Oh.
I'm bad for Ryan. It's gonna be rough. Okay, so, something else that I learned, and I've not that it's been, like, top of mind a question, but it was interesting because, again, there's so many different dialects and cultures in the Philippines. And yet, Tagalog became the most prominent language and primary culture that everyone defers back to. So, something that I learned that was interesting is that the Tagalog culture was so similar already to Christian faiths and beliefs. It just kind of lent itself to that. And that's how it became so easy to convert Tagalogs into like Christianity and into like Spanish culture.
Hmm.
Like there were similar practices. So where other societies they believed in multiple gods, the Tagalogs believed in one god. And I don't think they had
Oh.
like yes, the one god who, this, but they didn't know where that god came from or whatever. And so the Christians came in and filled in the blank spaces and taught them how to believe and all of that stuff. So that was an interesting tidbit for me that I didn't realize or know about.
Yeah, for sure.
So all of this information, right? Yeah. Anyways, so that's pre-colonial Philippines. Why do you think Spain colonized the Philippines?
Hmm. That's a good question. I'm not sure. I mean, I guess because I don't know. I give up. I was trying to like, cause this, I don't know. They were just
Yeah.
sailing around and stopped there.
Yes. No.
Oh, okay. Tell
So,
me.
I've al so I've always known that the Philippines is very strategically placed, but I didn't fully understand it. I read somewhere in one of the articles, I can't even pinpoint which one anymore, that it was the 3 Gs: gold, glory, and God.
Hmm.
So, the archipelago is very well positioned that made it so that if you held control of the Philippine Islands and you held control over the spice trades.
Ah, got you. Okay.
Yeah, especially from, like, Australia up into it's called Moluccas? Where did I put it? I put it somewhere, but an island that was, like, somewhere in between, and it was known as, like, the Spice Island, and a lot of, like, it was part of the original spice trades were there,
Mhm.
so if you held control there, then of the Philippines, then you held control of how the spice was traded through to China and then through to, like, Portugal and all the other like and to the Americas. So it was very strategic. The Spaniards wanted to have control over trading industry. They wanted to also spread and expand their culture and their religion into China.
Mhm. Mhm.
That didn't happen, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the main reason. So it was gold, glory, God, because I
Crazy.
can. Because it makes me money and because God said so.
Right. Sure. It makes sense.
Yeah.
All checks out. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, right? Yeah, yeah. So, um, Why did they think they could do this? Apparently, Spaniards colonized the Americas in 1492, and they thought to themselves, which again, I'm totally oversimplifying this, that somebody thought, hey, it worked out so well for us, let's do it again.
Oh boy.
We're going to do it here. So then Magellan arrived in 1521, but they didn't actually have a strong foothold until 1565 when Miguel Lopez de Legazpi arrived. So he's the one who ultimately was able to convince the Pangpangan locals to assist in defeating their rivals and conquering other neighboring barangays and like spreading out. All right, we're getting to the end here, people. So this information is coming from history.com, This Day in History, and a few other ones, but primarily history.com. So June 12th is like a representative kind of Independence Day, not just for independence from the Spaniards, but also independence from the Americas. The Philippines has been colonized more than once. It was colonized for over 330 years by the Spaniards. And then because they didn't want to feel shame, because they were I'll get into it, but because they didn't want to feel shame, they ceded the islands to the Americas. And then that's another 50 years of colonization through the Americas. And then briefly, there was the Japanese during the World War II. Briefly, the Japanese, they held the Philippine Islands. And then again, very, very briefly, during the 7 Years' War, the British tried to. They were not as successful.
Huh.
But like the main colonizers were the Spanish and the Americas. And some people might argue that the Americas is still kind of, at least culturally, colonizing the Philippines. They're still very, very present culturally. And I should have done research, probably do it another time, but like there's a long time where American military was still very present in the Philippine Islands. And I feel like I have a memory that they were recently kicked out, but I could be making that up in my head. So it's just a lot of years of having other cultures kind of define the Philippine Islands for what they want it to be, which is annoying.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I'm going to briefly talk about like really, really fast and not in depth. I'm going to have to save the in depthness for maybe next Independence Day, but it's just a lot of information. So the Philippine Independence Day, or as it's called in the Philippines, Araw ng Kalayaan. Araw ng Kalayaan or Araw ng Kasarilan. I can't even say that word. I can't get my mouth to say what it needs to say.
Red leather, yellow leather. Red leather, yellow leather.
I know. I need to drink more water. Being sick is dumb. So it's celebrated on June 12th because during the Spanish-American War, the Filipino rebels were rising up. Long story short, the leaders of the Philippine Rebellion ultimately worked with U.S. authorities to assist in winning the Spanish-American War. And so then they declared in 1892, June 12th, that the Philippines was independent of Spain, and they established their own provincial governments. However, and I quote from history.com, after some like backdoor dealings and the Spanish not wanting to feel the shame of losing to these like indigenous peoples. On August 8th, the Spanish commander informed the United States, this is a quote, on August 8th, the Spanish commander informed the United States that he would surrender the city under two conditions. The United States was to make the advance into the capital look like a battle, and under no conditions were the Filipino rebels to be allowed into the city. On August 13th, the mock battle of Manila was staged, and the Americans kept their promise to keep the Filipinos out after the city passed into their hands. So they created a fake battle because the Spanish pride couldn't handle that they had been defeated by the peoples that they had colonized for over 300 years, 3 centuries.
Well, that's a bit petty, I would
Exactly. Yes. That's where we get to the petty part of it, right? So they ceded the Philippine Islands to the United States and thus ended the Spanish American War with a
Hmm.
mock battle.
Jeez.
I know, that pissed me off. Yeah, so they got together in the room where it happens and they decided what was best for the Philippine people, and it was not to be ruled by their own governments. Many insurrections later, over 50 years of American colonization, the Philippines was finally granted independence by the United States on July 4th, 1946. And then they remained in the
Woohoo!
country. I know. They remained in the country for another 10 years, presumably to help with the transition with their government and blah, 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 yada, yada. So,
Interesting.
yes, it is a day of celebration because it is a century long process of trying to get out from under the boot of other people who are kind of coming in and telling you as a culture what's best for you. And and like basically you should be so lucky that we're here or whatever, which is interesting because I guess similar things are happening right now. There are
Hmm.
people of a certain culture coming into a very specific part of the islands and creating communities of their culture and like demanding that people be like them and like perpetuate their culture in the islands. And they're not respecting the Philippine local communities or anything like that at all. And they are actually saying you should be so lucky that we decided to bring ourselves and our culture to this hodunk of a place.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why can't they just be left alone? Their culture's just been
Seriously.
muddled for just ages. Let's just stop.
Yeah, yes, no, for sure. The Philippine people, the Filipinos are not having it. There has
Mm,
been a lot of protest and people like definitely, what's the word? Fighting back.
okay.
Yeah. So go us, right? Like
Yes.
I wanted to get into like the Bayanis, the heroes, and the people who were so vital to the the independence of the Philippines ultimately. I figured that could be for another time and like they could have their little one-offs of like each hero could have their one-offs and I could talk about them because I think that it's important. I mean, it's important for
Yeah.
me and
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying this and I'm just kind of subjecting you to this learning
No, I'm
experience.
I'm enjoying it because I love to learn and I didn't know like this much already. So
Yeah.
fabulous.
Yeah. So, people of the Philippines, if I got anything wrong, if there was something that you learned in school that I haven't learned, or if there's anything that as Filipino Americans, you didn't know that and you want to know more, there's lots of resources out there for you to go and learn yourself. I'm going to definitely add some stuff of where I found things. It's really hard to find, at least using Google, if you don't do like an in depth search, to find Filipinos writing the history. It was a lot of like, history written by the colonizers perspective.
Or
So
if you want to
having,
call in and talk to us about it, that could be a fun time as
mm-hmm.
well. So
Yeah. So that's my stuff, at least for
sweet.
that. You ready for my story time?
I need a story like yesterday.
Yay! Okay,
Let's
so
go.
yeah, after doing all of that research, it kind of left me in the place of needing something feel good. I didn't really want to go in and find like a petty story of something. And because like I think sometimes Filipinos can be very petty in like a very passive aggressive way. There's a
Mm,
lot of passive aggressiveness in our culture because like you're not, we're known as like one of the most friendly cultures and we're very like kind because we kind of had to be, right? Like there's I don't know. That's a side
mm.
tangent.
All right.
But when I was trying to find like quirky, funny stories of like Filipinos being petty, but then there was a lot of like not nice things that people were saying about the culture, and I
Oh,
was like,
no.
ah, fuck you. So
Mm-mm.
I looked for a feel good story instead.
Cool.
So on Reddit, on r/adviceph, somebody asked, what's your love story that hurts? Not because it's bad, but because it's beautiful. And I
Aw.
thought, yeah. And this is such a like Filipino drama coded question because there's so like, if you ever watch a Filipino movie, there's a lot of like drama unnecessarily, but like the yearning and the loving, it's so wrapped in like martyrdom and like suffering that this question just makes a lot of sense to me that somebody would ask it. So this was posted 2 years ago. Oh my God, I did not read this name, but I'm so excited to read it to you
Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
now. Load a cockamamie. Load a cockamamie.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. So, I was with somebody back in 2019 and we split because I was such an anxious person. My anxieties and dysregulation affected him and our relationship. Our last goodbye was a walk around Ali Mall and having pizza and beer at Cubao Expo. Subao? Cubao? Sorry. From when we started talking up to the end, he reminded me of how amazing and beautiful I was. I did
Hmm.
my best to let him know, too, how beautiful and great he was as a person. Despite the craziness, I think we made each other feel that we are good people deserving of love in this world. Years later, I burned the letters he wrote me because I thought it was time to move on. I still have, I know, right? I still have that one sketch he did on our first date, though. Haha, wala lang. Wala lang. It's like it's nothing. He's amazing. I hope he's still kind and loving. He's one of the reasons why I never give up on love, despite it being so hard to find.
Oh, that was so sweet.
Right? I
Yeah.
love this so much. I love so much that, like, there's so much self awareness here and so much love in this relationship that they could say, this is not working. And I love our relationship enough and I love us enough that the best thing is to end it before we hate each other.
That's a pretty mature I mean, if you're certain, there's nothing left for romance, that's
Yeah.
the way to do it for sure.
Yeah. Or even like beyond the certainty that there's not, you can really, really love this person and want like beyond all wants for this to work out. But there's so much work that you have to do for yourself that if you
Uh-huh.
stay in this place, right? Like if your anxiety is so big and your mental illness is so big that it's impacting your partner in not the best way, and it's
Yeah.
impacting your relationship in not the best way. Sometimes it's so hard because we want to heal in community, but sometimes we need to take the time and the space to heal in the community and not in a relationship. And so that that person isn't, because they love you so much that they want to help you and they want to be there and support you, but in doing that they're not taking care of themselves,
Yes.
right? And they're not showing up for themselves. They're giving it all to you. And then that becomes not so healthy either. And so to see they have so much love for each other that I want you to heal in your anxieties and in your mental illness and your dysregulation. And I love you so much that I don't want you to stop taking care of yourself, that you separate so lovingly and so generously. It's just, ugh,
Eh, I know.
I
One,
know.
thing that comes to mind is, Dan Savage's s thing that he brings up a lot is leave the person in a better place than where you found them,
Ugh, yeah.
and I
That's
feel
such a
like that's,
good,
like, a
yeah.
good example because they didn't wanna harm each other. They
Mhm,
probably grew a little bit from the experience and learned
mhm,
so I think, yeah, that's a good example of leaving somebody better than how you found them.
mhm. Yeah. And even once you've grown and once you've become the better version of yourself, to have the willpower to not go back and be like, "I'm better,"
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
right? And fall
exactly.
back into potentially, like, toxic patterns. I mean, not saying it's not possible to have a second go round in love, but with the same person as different people, but sometimes it's better to just let it be what it was and how beautiful it was where it was.
Yeah. And even the burning the letters, even though that's kind of, like, sad, it's also,
Mhm,
like, probably healthy just to be like, "Well, I'm moving on, I'm not, like, dwelling in
mhm.
this past,
Yeah,
experience," so
yeah. Have you ever gotten letters from someone before?
Um, I can only think of, like, maybe one person
Yeah,
that I kind of did that with,
mhm.
but it was a
Same.
long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah, same, same. I had all the letters in, like, this envelope that I would keep, and everywhere I was moving a lot in my, like, early 20s, mid-20s,
Mm.
and I would just take it with me everywhere I went, and then sometimes I would, like, open it up and read it and open up the wounds again and, like, the
Ooh.
love again and remind myself how much I love that person, how much they love me, and, like, the hurt and wishing and wanting and the yearning of, like, "Well, why couldn't it have worked?" Like, it's obvious, it's on this paper, we love each other so much, like, why didn't it work out? And, like, the hurt of that, I think I just got to a point and, like, he was still in and out of my life too, and it was like I could see the love here, but whenever we would try to make it work, it just wasn't there or it wasn't enough. I
Sure.
think I got to a point of like, I can't keep these.
Mm. Mhm,
Like
mhm.
these need to be burned because it's it's just kind of making me
Mm.
believe in something that's not.
Tangible or, like, yeah,
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah, and it made it
Mhm.
really hard to like move on or want to be with other people and just all of that stuff. So I kind of really resonated with that idea that she had to do that. I got rid of I have pictures and stuff, but they're like in a folder that's like away. There's nothing physical and all the gifts and things I had to like throw those out. And there's a part of me that wishes I still had some of it, or at least one thing. Like she has the sketch or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so I wish I had held on to at least one thing or one letter, but it's I think it would have been hard to get to the place where I am now with kids and married if I had held on that tight to those letters.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you did what you had to do.
Yeah, right? And everyone out there too, like, I get it, like, it's grief, right? We don't recognize it as grief because we just say get over it a lot when it comes to breakups.
Mhm.
And whether it's like a 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, 1 decade long relationship, you can still experience a similar amount of grief. And so it's okay to grieve that and to feel what you feel and to do what you have to do to get to a place of healing, however long that takes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And on that note, what are your glimmer?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up something that, happened recently. There's so many glimmers in this, but I'm just gonna pick one today.
Okay.
I went to, Montreal with my brother's family. He has 2 great little girls, one of them is my godchild as well,
Mhm.
and my nieces had been kind of raised listening to, Ravi because of having, like, a millennial parents who
Mhm.
were raised by it,
Uh-huh.
and they found out that he's Canadian, and he was doing some concerts in Montreal,
Mhm.
so that was kind of the purpose for the trip, and I was invited, which I felt super grateful about that I was thought of, and because
Uh-huh.
I do remember some Rafi songs as well. And my glimmer is singing with my niece, and she wanted to sit on my lap, and we were just singing at the top of our lungs at the Rafi concert,
Oh.
just like pure like bliss.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And it
that's
was
so
so fun.
cute.
Yeah, and you could see like parents all over the place, probably in
Mm-hmm.
their 30s, give or take, with the same kind of age children, and they were
Mm-hmm.
all just like singing, like nobody was worried about being judged or
Mm-hmm.
anything at all. Everyone was just having a good old time.
Yeah. That's so cool. They're probably like, what a fun experience, I think, to access your childhood memories and then to share it with your child.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, I was surprised he was still going. So, but it was indeed a treat. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, how cute.
Mhm.
That's so sweet. I can't wait to hear more of the story later.
Yeah, yeah, I have a lot more, but, I also listened to a podcast, like a this was kind of in the height of, I'd say, the panini, when there's just a lot of random podcasts, and there was one called Finding Raffi,
Uh-huh.
and it kind of made me appreciate him a lot. He's like an activist, he's very smart, he
Mhm.
appreciates women, and doesn't, put up with a lot of garbage. So, I
Mm.
already was like, "Wow, he is cool," and then just to see him live was pretty awesome, especially with my
Yeah.
nieces.
Aw.
What
What a
about
beautiful
you?
experience. What is mine? Okay, first, beautiful. Love that for you. I feel like
Thanks.
I don't even know what concert I would go to where I would have that experience with my girls, but probably just take them to Disneyland and watch the electric parade.
That would be incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be dope. So my glimmer this week is that because I haven't been feeling that well, I
Mm,
made arroz caldo, which is a Filipino dish. It's basically like porridge with chicken in it. And I remember when I was younger, my tita and my Lola, they would make it for me, or they would make it when I was sick. And I kept thinking to myself, like, I miss home because if I was
mm,
home, I could just go to my tita's house
mm.
and and ask her to make me soup and it would be delicious and I would love it. And I was like, okay, what can I make here? How do I make that work here? And I came across Tita Becky, who has an Instagram where she shares like recipes or helps you make or teaches you how to make traditional recipes, but with like not American spin, but with American, I guess, ingredients that
Mm,
you might have in the grocery store, right?
gotcha.
So she's like, here's how you can make it with rotisserie chicken. So you don't have to like go through the whole process of making it. That's
Nice.
even longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, I can do that. This is not a lot of ingredients. I could totally do this. So I got to make it and it was just like I remembered. And I
Oh,
was like proud of myself that I made this and it was delicious and Ryan liked it.
yay.
My girls obviously didn't.
Oh, I didn't know
uh,
that's where you're going with that, but,
yeah, well, they're not into chicken right now. It's beef or pork for them at the moment.
uh,
So it's okay. I also made this like soup that from I'm proud of myself again that like almost basically from scratch. I didn't like have a recipe and I don't think of myself as like a chef or a cook or anything. But I knew that I wanted a soup and I had like, this is what I have on me. So here's an idea of how to make it and hopefully it turns out well. And then just kept going to the grocery store and adding things to it. And I was like, oh, this is how you exist, like how you make things last when you don't have enough.
uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Also, I was adding more vegetables to it and again reminded me of like what it was like to grow up in my family house or my Lola's house because it wouldn't just be one singular meal on the table. It would be like multiple and you got your choice and you would have like your main dish and then you had all of your side dishes that you could choose from. And there was vegetables and meat and like soups and fish and rice, of course. And it was just really fun to have that in the house and to know that, oh, I actually could do that if I wanted to, if I had the energy or the like the brain power and I wasn't doing other things. Like I could do that. I could be what my Lola was for me and what my Tita was for me. I could be that and I can bring
Yeah.
that culture to my kids, which I was like,
Mm.
how am I going to do this? How am I going to teach them? They don't even know how to eat the food. They don't know anything about it because I'm not making it. And then I made this very traditional Filipino meal and that just felt really good to do.
Yeah, that's lovely. That's great. And the food sounds very comfort food adjacent.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, for me, it's for sure comfort food. It was very like, oh, if I'm sick, because arroz caldo has a lot of ginger in it. And
Ooh.
so, like, I remember one time I had a cough or whatever, and I bit into a piece of ginger, lost my voice immediately, but the next day I was fine.
Huh.
Yeah, I was like,
Interesting.
okay. So from now on, every time I'm sick, this is what I'm eating.
For sure. That's awesome. Man, that sounds delicious.
Yeah, it is. It's so good. Whenever you come, just come with a bag of rotisserie chicken and I'll make it.
Okay, well, you can eat that one, and then I'll make the
Oh, yeah,
vegetarian
you can't
version.
have. Yes. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. My bad.
No, I'll
We'll
bring
make
some
it with like
seitan or something.
vegetable. Yeah, we'll make
Yeah,
it with like a vegetable stock and not a chicken stock. And it'll be
thank you.
just as good. It'll be fine.
Okay, cool. I'm down.
Yes. Okay. Do we have call to actions? Anything like
Oh.
we want to hear from the peoples? Let's see. I want to go in like the uplifting story trend. I think what we were talking about earlier before we started recording is that, yeah, we're talking about petty stories and we're bringing it petty stories, and that's a big aspect. But I think our goal primarily is to be empowering to people and uplifting, and that we want to create that here. So I think it'd be also really cool to get uplifting stories from people in the comments or in the T line and stuff. Like, how are you? You know, what's your glimmer? But also, like, tell us of, right? What was the question? A love story that hurts, not because it's bad, but because it's beautiful.
Ooh, yeah, I'd really be interested in that. Or just tell us how your
Yeah.
day is going, or your week, or your month, or your year, even your year.
I'll be there for you.
You. Oh, man. So, yeah.
That's so funny.
I just realized what I was saying. I was like, oh.
Oh my goodness. All right, everyone.
So,
That's all we've got. If you enjoyed hanging out with us, please subscribe. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Deezer. You know, as Robin said before, other listening avenues, streaming avenues as well. So,
yeah.
you know, don't miss our next episode. And until next time, everyone, fuck it.
Stay petty.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.